Sankhya philosophy is a philosophical system enunciated by Kapila, the son of Devahuti. The other Kapila, who is not the son of Devahuti, is an imitation. This is the statement of Brahma, and because we belong to Brahma's disciplic succession, you should accept his statement that the real Kapila, the son of Devahuti, and that real Sankhya philosophy is a system of philosophy which he introduced and which will be accepted by the Acharyas, the directors of spiritual discipline. The word Susammata means accepted by persons who are counted upon to give their good opinion. Text 20. Maitreya uvacha tavavashya jagat shrashta kumarehe sahanaradaha hamso hamsena yanena tridhama paramam yayo. Sri Maitreya said, after thus speaking to Kardama Muni and his wife Devahuti, Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, who is known as Hamsa, went back to the highest of the three planetary systems on his swan carrier with the four Kumaras and Narada. Purport. The words Hamsena Yanena are very significant. Hamsa Yana, the airplane by which Brahma travels all over outer space, resembles a swan. Brahma is also known as Hamsa because he can grasp the essence of everything. His abode is called Tridhama Paramam. There are three divisions of the universe: the upper planetary system, the middle planetary system, and the lower planetary system. But his abode is above even Siddhaloka, the upper planetary systems. He returned to his own planet with the four Kumaras and Narada because they were not going to be married. The other rishis who came with him, such as Marichi, Atri, remained there because they were to be married to the daughters of Kardama, but his other sons, Sanat, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Narada, went back with him in his swan-shaped airplane. The four Kumaras and Narada are Naistika Brahmacharis. Naistika Brahmachari refers to one who never wastes his semen at any time. They were not to attend the marriage ceremony of their other brothers, Marichi and other sages, and therefore they went back with their father Hamsa. Text 21. Gate shatadritau kshattaha kardamastena choditaha etoditam sadhuhitriha pradad vishwa shrajam tataha. After Vidura, after departure of Brahma, Kardama Muni, having been ordered by Brahma, handed over his 9 daughters as instructed to the 9 great sages who created the population of the world. Marichaye kalam pradad anasuyam athatraye shraddham angirase yachat pulasthaya havirbhuvam pulahaya gatim yuktam kratyavecha kriyam satim kyatim cha bhrigave yachat vashishtyayapi arundhati. Kardama Muni handed over his daughter Kala to Marichi and another daughter Anasuya to Atri. He delivered Shraddha to Angira and Havirbhu to Pulastya. He delivered Gati to Pulaha and chaste Kriya to Kratu Khyati to Bhrigu and Arundhati to Vashishta. Atarvane dadachantim yaya yajno vitanyate Vriprarshabhan kritodvahan sadharan samalalayat. He delivered Shanti to Atharva. Because of Shanti, sacrificial ceremonies are well performed. Thus he got the foremost Brahmanas married, and he maintained them along with their wives. Tatastha rishayakshattaha kritadhara nimantriyatam pratishtanandim apanna swam ashramamandalam. Thus married, the sages took leave of Kardama and departed, full of joy, each for his own hermitage, O Vidura. Sa cha avatirnam triyugam ajnaya vibhudarshab vivikta upasangamya pranamya samabhasata. When Kardama Muni understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the chief of all the demigods Vishnu, had descended, Kardama approached him in a secluded place, offered obeisances and spoke as follows. Lord Vishnu is called Triyuga. He appears in Triyuga, Satya, Treta and Dwapara. But in Kali Yuga he does not appear. From the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, however, we understand that he appears garbed as a devotee in Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya is that devotee. Krishna appeared in the form of a devotee, but although he never disclosed himself, Rupa Goswami could understand his identity. For the Lord cannot hide himself from a pure devotee. Rupa Goswami detected him when he offered his first obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. He knew that Lord Chaitanya was Krishna himself and therefore offered his obeisances with the following words. I offer my respects to Krishna who is now appeared as Lord Chaitanya. This is also confirmed in the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. In Kali Yuga, he does not directly appear, but he appears as a devotee. Vishnu, therefore, is known as Triyuga. Another explanation of Triyuga is that he has three pairs of divine attributes, namely the power and affluence, piety and renown, and wisdom and dispassion. According to Sridhara Swami, his three pairs of opulences are complete riches and complete strength, complete fame, complete beauty, complete wisdom, and complete renunciation. These are different interpretations of Triyuga, but it is accepted by all learned scholars that Triyuga means Vishnu. When Kardama Muni understood that his son Kapila was Vishnu himself, he wanted to offer his obeisances. Therefore, when Kapila was alone, he offered his respects and expressed his mind as follows. Aho papacyamananam niraye svairamangaleh kalena bhuyasa nunam prasidantiha devataha. Kardama Muni said, Oh, after a long time, the demigods of this universe have become pleased with the suffering souls who are in the material entanglement because of their own misdeeds. Purport. The material world is a place of suffering which is due to the misdeeds of the inhabitants, the conditioned souls themselves. The sufferings are not extraneously imposed upon them. Rather, the conditioned souls create their own suffering by their own acts. In the forest, fire takes place automatically. It is not that someone has to go there and set a fire. Because of the friction Among various trees, fire occurs automatically. So when there is too much heat from the forest fire of this material world, the demigods, including Brahma himself, being harassed, approach the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and appeal to him to alleviate the condition. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends. In other words, when the demigods become distressed by the sufferings of the conditioned souls, they approach the Lord to remedy the suffering, and the Personality of Godhead descends. When the Lord descends, all the demigods become enlivened. Therefore, Kardama Muni said, after many, many years of human suffering, all the demigods are now satisfied because Kapila Dev, the incarnation of God, has appeared. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So after Brahma, Narada and the Kumaras, after Brahma left this universe with Narada and Kumaras, Kardama Muni, as instructed, he handed over his daughters to all the rishis, 9 daughters to 9 rishis, and they, each of them, left with their wives to their own hermitage, and the task of populating this creation began with these 9 rishis. And then Kardama Muni started praying to the incarnation of the Lord, Kapila Deva, who was born to him and Devavati. So Lord Kapila, as it is said here, is appeared in order to bring down the knowledge to the population. Now the rishis are going to populate the world, the creation. So the Lord also incarnates as Kapila to also gift this knowledge about existence in the material world. Otherwise, it is not possible to know anything about the spiritual world, anything about the purpose of life, without the transcendental knowledge being given to us merely by our senses, endeavors of our senses. We cannot put together the understanding as to what is the purpose of this material life. So, because once someone is born in this world, it is very natural for everyone born in this material world to feel that he is this body. No doubt that even a simple inquirer will feel that it's fine, I am this body, but I do have the propensity to exist forever. But why everything is terminated? Why everything is temporary? This thought comes. Even for this thought, the answers to these thoughts cannot be built up by our own speculation. The real truth of purpose of life has to be revealed. And near Kapila Muni, he not only reveals the purpose of life, he gives a process by which one can become free from material work, how to act in this material world without getting implicated in further karma and further birth, and how to understand the self as being different from this material body, how to understand the difference between matter and spirit, that these two things are existing in this world and that is how the world is running. So this is a very fundamental teaching which is required for every class of transcendentalist, personalist, impersonalist, all need this understanding of how the three modes of material nature, the material nature churns itself into three modes of material characteristic ways, it churns itself, and it influences the pure spirit in three different ways which are very unnatural to the spirit. To the spirit, what is natural is, for the soul, what is natural is devotional service to Krishna. What is a natural action for the living entity? Is action to please Krishna, devotional service to Krishna. Because the soul is the eternal servant of Krishna, and Krishna is the source of all the souls. So every soul has to serve the Supreme Lord, and that is the characteristic or the Surupa, Jivera Surupohe Nitya Krishna Das. The living entity's identification is that he is a servant of Krishna. We take so many identities in this material world when we want to do so many things. Even this taking up of this identity, if you see, that is a facility that the soul continuously uses, even if he is identified himself with this body, but in order to do different things. Let's say if he wants to, say he is believing that he is this body. Then in order to act in relationship with his son, with his wife, with his parents, he will take on different identities. For the son, he will take on the identity of father. To the wife, he will take on the identity of husband. Towards his parents, he will take the identity as a son. So taking up this identity is very natural, and this taking up of identity is connected to the kind of relationship one has got, kind of rasa relationship, that is, you take up the identity of a father towards the son. So that orients his thinking, feeling and willing towards a relationship as father and son. The soul takes up the relationship as husband, and then his thinking, feeling, willing his identification helps him in rasa relationship with the wife. So this identifying faculty is a very fundamental faculty of the soul. Soul has the ability to self-identify. I am this, it can say. But there are two. One is, I am this body. Then I have secondary identity. This body, as this body, I am a father somewhere. I as this body, I am a wife somewhere. I have a husband somewhere. I as this body, I am son of my parents. I as this body, I am the Prime Minister of the country. I as this body. So, these are all secondary identities. They are coming out of one identity. I am this body. So this identity that I am this body is not changing in this life for me. All other identities, left, right, center, I take up. In one day, about 20 role plays I will make. But each of those role plays are role play. Who is a role player? I am this body. The identity that I am this body. So I am this body is an existential identity. Existence. I am. What is my? I am this. I exist as this. This is my existence. Then you have functional identities. Role plays. They are functional identities. Isn't it? So this kind of. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, your original identity is you are the servant of Krishna. That is your existential identity. Not I am this body. You are not this body, you are servant of Krishna. As a servant of Krishna, you can be so many different. You can take so many role plays, like how I am this body takes so many role plays. So the foundation of all self-identification, the absolute nature of my identification is not I am this body, but I am servant of Krishna. In the case of I am this body, generally we think that hey, this is stable, so I have the substance of this body. The others are all functional identities, but this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's definition of the spirit soul is his functional definition is he is a servant of Krishna. Now, what is the substance of, what is the existential identity of the spirit? Is eternal amsha of God. That is, whatever God substance is there, the living entity substance is, he is the part of God. God is divine, he is also divine. And his functional identity is, I am servant of Krishna. So, only by continuously engaging in devotional service of the Lord in this material world, in other words, by activating our functional identity as a servant of Krishna means, servant means always acts for the master. He acts for the master's pleasure. And by continuously doing that, one will realize the substance of the self as well as the supreme self. That's called self-realization. Self-realization, who am I, who is God? Who am I, who is my source? That is self-realization. So self-realization automatically comes by activating our original function. When we activate our original function, then our functional identity of servant of Krishna is awakened. When you function some way, then what happened? The relationship is strengthened. I function as a father with my son. My relationship with my son is developed. Suppose, let's say, a father has produced a child and he never meets him and never relates with him. Son will not have a relationship with this father. Father also will not have a relationship with the son. Forgetful. Is it not? So why the relationship at all, if it is existing? Because of continuous activation of that relationship. They are functioning like that, father and son. So in the same way, the living entity, unless it continuously engages in devotional service to Krishna, devotional service. If you see Prabhupada's entire teaching is devotional service. And unless we are engaged in different kinds of devotional service in association with Krishna, there is no question of self-realization. What Kapila Muni teaches is how to transcend the illusory relationship of this world and establish relationship with our own spirit and the Supreme Spirit. So this is the yoga process that we are doing. Just like if you see, there is a process of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, there is a process of yoga. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Then you get the result of yoga connected to God. For us, the process of yoga is devotion service. A devotee is continuously performing yoga. Devotion service, whether he is chanting, whether he is preaching, whatever he does, it is all connected with the Supreme Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. This is the yoga that is the yoga of devotion service. So, unlike other yogas, you have Ashtanga yoga, you sit and then the certain activities cannot come within the ambit of that yoga. But as far as Bhakti yoga is concerned, anything and everything that the normal world does can be dovetailed in Krishna's service. If I have a body, I am thinking I am the body, okay, serve with this body. If I am thinking I am a member of this society, no problem. You don't have to think that I am not a member of this society, I am a member of Brahman. I am Brahman, I have no connection with this society. No, you can think I am this body, I am a member of this society. You can serve the Lord in his different incarnation, who also have descended here as a member of this society. Just like Krishna, when he descended into this material world, he was like a member of this society. Kapila Muni descended down as a member of this society and taught everything. Similarly, the deities of the Lord are members of this society. So you identify here as a servant of the deities, then you become a member of this society, at the same time you are transcendental. Just see how universal the process of devotional service that that Bhagavatam talks about, which Prabhupada has given practical ways in which we can 24 hours exist in devotional service, how wonderful it is. Nothing need to be eliminated. Each living entity has desire to achieve so many things. You achieved for the mission of the Lord. There is an absolute mission of the Lord in this material world. Means actually there is ordinary work. Ordinary work means work with our normal senses, and that is there are certain kinds of work which is ordinary work, but it is transcendental. Just like preaching. Every activity that we do in this preaching mission of Srila Prabhupada, somebody may be going and talking to someone and collecting money. One should not think that that is disconnected, that is different from chanting Hare Krishna. That is the yoga that we are doing. That is, as long as the common factor is for the pleasure of Krishna. So there is an opportunity in this process of devotion service to give expression to all our all the fields of human activity that we see in this world. Every field of human activity can be engaged in Krishna's service, and it all becomes glorified. Building a construction or constructing a temple, the construction activity becomes glorified activity. Singing becomes glorified if you sing for Krishna. Anything and everything can be engaged in service of the Lord. So devotion service, the way it is presented to us from the Bhagavatam, is so universal and it covers everything. And the foundation for that obviously is Sankhya philosophy, transcendental knowledge of difference between matter and spirit, and how the spirit can get freed from the three gunas through devotion service. Continuous action. It's an action philosophy. Our Krishna consciousness is an action philosophy. Not that somehow we have to do some activity, but actually real activity, the real thing that pleases Krishna is I sit quiet and I meditate on Krishna's form. No, it's not like that. Every activity is directly pleasing to the Lord. Any questions? Grandharaj, any question is there? Somebody is there? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
In the sense of Mayavadis, so they also understand that I'm not the body and I am the soul. So is it, the perfectional, according to their understanding of perfection, they merge into Brahman. So how is it that they get out of the grip of material nature? Because in Krishna consciousness, we are dependent upon the mercy of the Lord to come out of this material nature's entanglement. So how do they get out of this material energy's entanglement?
How they get out of the material energy's entanglement? They cannot eternally get out of it. That is why Prabhupada says that they think they are liberated, but actually they again fall down into this material world. So without the mercy of the Lord, you cannot get out completely. Completely means eternally you cannot come out of it. So you will get now jnana. Okay, even the degree to which they get out. How do they get out? Not with the help of the Lord. In the material world itself, the principle of tapasya is incorporated. The fruits, whenever anybody does tapasya, it produces Shakti. So they have to take extreme austerities, jnana, continuous. Austerity need not be physical austerity, bodily austerity. They take complete austerity of their mind of concentrating on neti, neti, I am not this body, this can't be that, this can't be that. So they have to repeat. They have to disidentify. As I explained in the beginning, this identifying energy is a very primary, identifying function is a very primary function of the soul, primary activity of the free will. So they continuously have to tell themselves that I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Because how are we trapped in this body? By complete identification, I am this body, I am this body, I am this body, I am this body, I am this body. Of course, we don't say I am this body now, because it has the three modes of material nature. Once you fall into this material world, it convinces you that you are this body. So you think you are this body, though you are not. Always, whether you think you are a body or not, you are not the body. Even a person in bodily concept, he may think he is in body, but he is not the body, he is spirit. So, even if anybody, any living entities, taken up that determination to continuously sit and discover who I am. I don't want God and all. Who am I? I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. That produces a lot of tapashakti at the intellectual plane, at the intellectual level. So with that, he can get Brahman experience. Can get Brahman experience because what is he doing? He is going on working of separating. When he is separating, then what he is will remain, no? I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, is minusing. Then he is something. So what will be left is what I am there. So that is how. So it is a very elaborate, very tough process. Only these impersonalists who talk about it, few of them may be actually capable, especially in this Kali Yuga. Even I don't think even the people in the acharyas in the Shankara Sampradaya, they also have, I don't think they can, in this Kali Yuga, in this atmosphere, they can be situated in Brahman. Whereas our process is, I am servant of Krishna, I am not bothered. Even if I am thinking I am this body. So what? I am serving Krishna. This body goes, another body, I am servant of Krishna. As long as I have to do service in this material world, this is a role play. I know I am the eternal servant of Krishna, but this is a role play. Because everybody else sees me as body, so how can I have to play the role, no? Somebody tells you are a man of this many years. No, I am not a man. You cannot tell, no, because even for devotion service, you have to relate with him. So you have to relate with him. So for us, bodily concept, engaging in devotion service will make us transcend the bodily concept of life. In bodily concept, we serve the Lord. That means that service will be affected by all the characteristics of three modes. The devotion service in the mode of ignorance, it will affect. Devotion service in the mode of passion, it will affect. Means devotion service will be affected by these things. But slowly, devotional service in the mode of goodness will come. Then that means it's the least affected by the three gunas. Three gunas means somewhere or the other it is illusion. Except pure sattva guna. So the illusory component goes on decreasing as you go towards sattva guna. So wherever we are, we start devotion service. And then that's why we go on hearing this, Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Why is that so? While we are doing devotion service at whatever platform we are. So let's say today you are in 30% Tamoguna and 40% Rajoguna and 30% of Sattoguna. You do your devotion service. Nobody is saying don't do. You have, no, I had to become 100% pure, then only I can do devotion service. You do. And while you are doing Nityam Bhagavata Seva, keep hearing also, chanting also, direct association with the Lord. Then what happens? You will see Rajoguna and Tamoguna will start going away. It will become more and more, devotion service will become mixed devotion service to pure devotional service. So that is a process. So unless we do service and hearing, both together to start with, then only we will purify our devotion service. Kandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.